Have you ever wondered how the client onboarding setup looks at the 7-figure AI agency? If yes, this is your lucky day. In this video, I will walk you through the entire onboarding setup that we follow for each and every client that comes to my agency. Everything starts from the sales call. Usually, we do multiple calls, the discovery call, then the actual sales call, then the setup call. Of course, it depends on A, the solution that we're building, and B, where the kind came from. Paid ads, outreach, organic where, workshop, webinar, content. But in generally speaking, after the sales call is done and the client agreed to pay us money for the solution, now of course we have the trials, we have the demos, we have the prototypes. Sometimes we charge upfront, sometimes we charge after the client actually sees something. Sometimes we charge them a lower barrier entry for them to be comfortable with the solution that we're building. There are nuances. I'm trying to generalize it as much as possible to give you the full understanding. So once the sales call is done, we are completing the paperwork. Proposal, contract, invoice. Contract usually being the NDA. Proposals and contracts are handled by the PandaDoc. Now guys, throughout this video, I will blur a lot of the information out. The reason for it, because I want to share real things with you, not just the screenshots. Using the PandaDocs. Within the PandaDocs, usually the setup looks like we're creating the contact here. Once the contact is created, we are sending the document. We have multiple templates for different solutions that we're building, and then 70% of the setup is done. If you go to my document templates, you'll see that we have quite a few of them. Now, you can say, hey, Eugene, you're the AI agency. Why you don't automate the proposal generation? Because when integrating an AI in any business, my business or the business of your client, be smart. Don't try to push AI anywhere you see. That is why for us, it's very important to make the proposal very, very detailed and unique to each and every client. And of course, we can use the variables. We can, analyze the transcript, then pass this transcript to the, custom GPT that will create, that will pass. Sure. Okay. But we are charging the high ticket for our services. We're not onboarding new clients every day. That is why it's not a problem. Let me actually open one of the documents so that you can see one of the recent ones that was, for example, completed here. The structure looks very similar. Doesn't matter what the solution is. So we have the logo here, the title, created by, prepared for. So this is this problem statement. Again, it depends on kind of the solution that we're building, but usually, so this is the company logo, problem statement, a few paragraphs, what you can expect. So this is kind of a general overview of the outcome, not yet covering the technical details of what the user can expect. Then commitment to deliverables, aka already the pricing as well as our guarantees. Now, we're not a marketing agency, so we're not kind of generating traffic or getting paid by leads, but we still provide the guarantees. So now if you see here, monthly quality standards, so less than 1% of the users notice that it's an AI. Because for example, within the one prompt, we have, conversational sales system that, people like you license and resell to their clients. And we also sell it to our businesses, by the way, link in the description. So there, because it's a conversational agent, the main value proposition is that people do not notice that it's an AI. And it is very important for our clients to understand that they are it is fully built in a way where we are doing what we said. And this is where we're stating that less than 1% of the users notice that it's an AI, hallucination rate, and human handoff fallback. Development process, again, not going into the technical details. Usually it's not necessary, just in terms of the days and in terms of the process, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Payment structure for the development, as you can see here, like just the bullet points is $5,000, and then management, it's $650. Then in terms of the conditions, additional information, additional cost, no cost involved, IP rights as always, and the signature. So this client actually signed it yesterday, right? Pretty much it. We're, sharing it via the link, generating this link. Now we communicate with most of our clients through the email or the WhatsApp. I'll explain the communication channel and how we set it up, but early stages before the contract is signed, we're always sending it by the email. So now this is one of the templates for the proposal, right? So this is kind of the proposal. We have a very similar thing for the contract if the NDA is necessary. When it comes to the invoice, we're using Mercury as a bank. I use it for all of my businesses. We're not actually accepting payments through Stripe. Recently added this option, but I'm not a big fan of that. First, because I don't want to rely on Stripe. Not about the commissions, but I just have a weird story with them when they always block my accounts. That is why we do have an account where client really want to pay with the credit card. We actually connected it with the Mercury. So here, somewhere like you have the invoicing, and like you basically like create an invoice here, and the client can pay through the ACH, through the wire, through the international wire, as well as through, as you can see, like the card, right? So because you're connected the Mercury directly with the Stripe. So it is pretty easy. This is where handling, all the invoices and all the payments. When the paperwork is done, okay, it's signed, either the solution has been already paid in full, half of the solution has been, prepaid, or we're just charged a little sum for the, demo or the prototype. The next stage is the actual communication setup. As I said, because we are working primarily with the US-based businesses, unfortunately, I hate the Western world for that. I'm sorry, but they're not using messengers actively, WhatsApp nor Telegram. That is why some do, like where we're working with the UK businesses, Australian businesses, or the European, like international businesses, they're using the WhatsApp, so that's fine, and we usually set up the WhatsApp group. Within this group, we, communicate with the client. I add my project manager as well as my CTO, as well as me. So it's usually 3 people from my side, as well as, either one or multiple people from the company side. When the WhatsApp is not available, we're using the Gmail. Now, the way we are using it is through Front. Front is a front end for the Gmail. So we have like multiple Gmail accounts connected here. If we go to the actual channel, you'll see that I have 5 inboxes connected. And it's just like very nice way of organizing the inbox. Front is not the only software. I think these are like, they are the best when it comes to very, very kind of large teams or in-depth organization units. You have just the plugins for the Gmail, or you have a separate software. We started to use Front because we're running the outreach actively, cold outreach through the emails, and we receive a lot of the replies. So we need to classify, all the replies through the inboxes. And we have multiple accounts. So this is just the account to work with the clients. And you'll see, for example, if we have the clients, we'll have 0 in the inbox because we archive all the conversations. If we see the archived conversations here, so this is one of the clients, and we are communicating with this client under one thread. But even if there is a new thread, we can combine it into like one thread. So, we can make it like very, very easy. They have an easy filtration. So it's pretty nice, to communicate. Now, of course, I did want to, at one time, like to move everything from the WhatsApp to the front, to the email. Now, of course, I want the WhatsApp, but not all the businesses use the WhatsApp. So if everyone would, I would move to the WhatsApp. But since not everyone is using it, I thought, okay, so let me actually try to do everything in one place, everything through the email. But then there's some businesses that don't love the emails because they're not using an organization unit like we do. They're like just using the Outlook or the Gmail inboxes, which can be massive sometimes. So that's why they're requesting, WhatsApp. We never do Slack, Telegram, or any other messengers. Specifically, of course, a lot of people are asking about Slack, but we're not using it because, again, like, why? I mean, sure, like Slack is good, it's great, but so it's like 3. I try to, simplify it as much as possible because we're all about productization, having the lean team, and scaling very fast. This is pretty much it, right? So sign the paperwork, then set up, let's say, the WhatsApp channel. The next step is to set up a project. We are using ClickUp for our project management. I will go over the ClickUp setup a little bit, but again, I blur the shit out of this. So I have multiple spaces. We have a workspace, and within this workspace, we have some lists. Each list is kind of like a project. Of course, we have like kind of multiple spaces for different types of the projects and clients. So I'm giving you this as an example. So if we go, let's say, to like this list, we have pretty simple, tab with the tasks. So we have it is grouped by to do and completed. We have the comments, due dates, assignee, and priority. Very important thing to note is that we are using ClickUp as a messenger within the team. We're not using WhatsApp, Slack, anything, okay? We're using ClickUp. Fortunately, ClickUp recently, just like maybe 6 months ago, added their messenger, which is good, okay? Their messenger is really good. I mean, it's awesome. Let me put it that way. It's awesome. It has a lot of functions. It is not that robust as Slack, of course, and I can imagine at some point of time there will be like some bugs where it's going to delete some of the conversations. Sure, I'm ready for that, but it's very, very useful to have everything in one place. So we have the DMs with the team members, as well as the project chats, right? I hate when the ClickUp is doing that, by the way. So if we go right now into, for example, the project, so you have a chat here. So this project is created, so there is a to-do list, and there's a separate chat for this project. So everything is one place, and we can, reference all the tasks, all the docs, all the whiteboards, and, ClickUp recently even added their like meeting recordings, which is, directly connected to this list. So it's It's crazy how efficient ClickUp is. Now, not in terms of the performance, of course, ClickUp is a bit laggy because they have so many things, it's everything in one place, but it's a really, really good software. And sometimes I actually regret of using ClickUp because I understand that we are relying on it very heavily. And when you know, bring everything in one place, if it breaks or if something goes wrong, like you're screwed. But anyways, another thing that we have is the overview section. Now, within this section, we have the general information about the client because we're building the sales reps. So here we provide all the information that my developers will use to build a solution. So, you know, the deal details through the high level, the Google Drive where the person will upload all the information, and then the general information from the meetings. That's pretty much it. Of course, I have like multiple dashboards, and within these dashboards, I have, you know, multiple projects that are, you know, connected, and I can see all the tasks as an overview. And I'm, you know, always trying to, because we're, you know, growing. We have a team of 10 people right now, and I'm trying to make the work efficient. And of course, ClickUp can be scary when you're landing it at first because there are so many things, and I'm against that. So I like to simplify all the things. So I was actually thinking about Asana because it's much easier, even though it's complex enough. But Asana doesn't have that type of the messaging capabilities. You can message within the Asana, within the task, as we do, right? So we communicate, for example, here under each task, not only in the DMs and the group chats, but also under the comments in the task. This is where the magic actually happens. You can do that in the Asana, but you don't have the actual chats. You don't have, you know, the proper docs. So yeah, this is everything in one place, and that's why we are using it. So as a recap, sign the paperwork, got the deposit, set up communication channel, then set up the project in the ClickUp, assigned all, you know, the people to it. The next step is gathering all the information from the client. We're using Fillout for that. Now within the Fillout, this is one of the accounts that I can show you. If I check this, for example, form, I think you should see it. It has multiple pages. Basically, we are within the communication channel that we already set up. We're, you know, sending this form to the client, say, hey, please, you know, fill out this information to help us, you know, to get the ball rolling faster. Of course, they already provided some of this information, but it's just making it easier for us. Now, this is the first one. Then we're saying, okay, again, I will blur some information. So like social media profile, are you using any CRM? What are you selling? Who your customers are? What are the main languages they speak? How do you charge them? What's your pricing? How are your customers, where your customers come from? Volume of the requests? Please provide the contact. So like, it's a lot of questions. Now, of course, we discussed all these questions on the sales call, and you can say, hey, Eugene, but isn't it a bad practice for the onboarding? You're like asking the same questions. Why? I'll explain. Now, usually, right now, we are building the trials first for the companies and showing them, you know, some results first before charging, or before charging a lot. In order to do that, in order to make them committed, they need to either commit through the money or through the time. And this is a time commit where we send them the form, they fill out this form, they commit the time filling it out, and now they're kind of a bit more, you know, emotionally attached to this project. That is why we're always doing that. And as I already said, it is connected directly to the ClickUp. When people fill out the information, it goes into the overview section of this project so that, you know, we have all the information there. The next step is the account setup. Now, of course, it does depend on the project that we are working on. We have our own conversational sales system within the OnePrompt. It is built on top of the high level. Now, I'm not going to go over this system right now. You can check the link in the description and in the video, like see the overview. But basically, what we need to set up the account for the user. To do that, we do it in a few different ways. So the first one is manual setup of the sub account, because the user already provided all the information on the fill out. We're just providing this information to the system, or creating the account, creating the password, and then making them to log in. Or what we also do, we have, you know, a separate funnel within the high level, and it's called like claiming the license. There's a link. So here, when they go through this link, they fill out the information again, and very important, in order for them to create an account, they pay $1. Now, $1 is made for them to actually put in their card details, because like we need their billing details. Even though they're not paying us through the card, they're paying us directly through Mercury, usually through the ACH or wire. Here, for example, if we're building the trial and they have not yet paid, we're making them pay $1, but we're not saying that you need to pay $1. We're just saying like, okay, whatever, like create the account, provide the details, and provide the billing information. So it's pretty obvious. And this again, make another point of contact with you and another kind of type of the commitment that they are giving to this project. Okay, so when people create the account, all of the workflows has been already done. Now, let's say we're selling the license also to you guys. So once you, for example, buy our license, you either have the snapshot, you can upload the snapshot to your high-level account, or you can get, our unlimited license and open as many accounts as you want. And it works the same way when we open it for the client or when one of our license holders open an account. All the automations has been already uploaded, right? So we have all the previous versions. So for example, all the sales system. So all the automations has been already uploaded here, but it's a new account. So of course we would need to, change the API calls as well as the webhooks. But other than that, it's pretty much done. Then we set up the connections. For the connection setup, this is more of going back and forth with the client. So once we set up the account, we're saying, hey guys, if they set it up, it's easier. If we set it up for them, we're just, opening the settings, going to the My Stuff. We add them, so their business email as a staff member, as an admin, set up the password, and then say, hey guys, here's the link, app.oneprompt.com. Please log in. This is your email. This is your password. Once they log in, they say, let us know they're in. Then, for example, if we're building the Instagram automation, we're saying, okay, so we have an actual guide where we're saying, okay, go to the settings, integrations, Facebook and WhatsApp, or is it Facebook and the WhatsApp, and follow the steps. For Facebook and Instagram. For the WhatsApp, it's a bit different because it depends. Are they having the number? We're setting up the number. Do they have the verified Meta account or not? If we're talking about the voice AI setup, we're connected to Twilio because here within their account, within the phone numbers, we're not usually buying the phone numbers directly through the LC connector. We're buying it through Twilio. For the trials, of course, we're setting up it on our accounts. And then for the real things, we're setting it up on their accounts. So it kind of depends. This is more of a customized approach depending on the solution that we're building. But this is where, all the connections are happening. And of course, the next step, which is not really already the onboarding. So client was already onboarded. And at this stage, so this usually takes a few days, not because it's hard, but because it takes a few days for the client, to fill out all the information and then create an account, attach their billing info, and then, create the connections to the omni-channel experience. Because for us, it's 10 to 15 minutes. And then the backend, right? So all of our agents are powered, if it's a text agents, by the N8N automations, in the workflows. And if it's the voice, we're powering it up with the retail. And if it's a new client, for example, we are just creating the folder here. We have our main text engine that, we have, right? That you have within the one prompt. You have it here. We just duplicate this, put it into this folder of the client. And then we start working on this, agent. We're like modifying the prompts here. Then if we need the knowledge base, so we set up the new project in the Supabase. Of course, we are paying $10 a month for a new project, but that's fine for each client. We're using our LLM connections and we're using our own Supabase. It's just like their, knowledge base will be hosted on our Supabase account. And yeah, and this is where the magic happens. Then we're just replacing, getting this webhook, going into the high-level account, replacing it in the automations, and it's pretty much done. So that's why I'm always telling you guys that, we have a system that can be easily deployed within like 1 hour. But I hope it gave you a pretty good picture of the actual client onboarding setup. Of course, we do still, provide custom AI services within the Quimple, where it's more type of the customized approach. The first parts are kind of the same, setting up the channels, contracts, ClickUp, and the fill out to get the information. But this is kind of the fulfillment already. That is why it depends on each and every client. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.